Here's what most people think running an airline looks like. You buy a couple of planes, you hire some pilots, you sell tickets, let's say $200 a pop. New York to LA, the plane fills up. Money comes in, you buy more planes, you sell more tickets, and just like that, you're rich. Sounds simple, right? That's what you think when you look at those crowded airport terminals. Every seat taken. Flights booked out weeks in advance. The passengers paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars per ticket. So airlines must be swimming in cash. So here's your big idea. You raised $100 million from investors. You lease 3 brand new Airbus A320 jets. You hire 40 pilots, build a flashy website, and launch your very own airline, Sky Velocity Airways. Opening day, your first flight takes off, 150 passengers on board, $199 tickets. You do the quick math in your head. That's almost $30,000 in revenue for a single flight. Multiply that by 5 flights a day, 365 days a year, and you're looking at tens of millions. You sit back, you smile. Then your finance team calls. That first flight? You didn't make $30,000. You actually lost $12,000, and your second flight lost even more. Welcome to the airline industry, a business so brutal that Warren Buffett, the greatest investor alive, literally joked, if a far-sighted capitalist had been present at Kitty Hawk when the Wright brothers flew on one, and he would have done his successors a huge favour by shooting Orville down. He said that in his 2007 letter to shareholders. And he meant every word, because here's the number that shocks everyone. According to the International Air Transport Association, the global body that tracks every airline on Earth, the average airline makes a net profit of just 3.3%. That means on a $200 ticket, the airline keeps roughly $6.60. $6.60. That's less than the sandwich you bought at the airport, and that's the average. Plenty of airlines make nothing or lose money. In fact, from 2000 to 2025, more airlines have gone bankrupt than have survived. So where is all your money going? And if ticket sales barely break even, how are airlines like Delta pulling in record profits? Let's break it down. Running an airline is like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. Money pours in from ticket sales and immediately pours right back out through a dozen different holes. Hole number 1, your planes. Those 3 Airbus A320s you leased? A brand new A320 has a list price of $113 million. But nobody buys planes outright at first, you lease them. And leasing an A320 costs around $250,000 per month, per plane. That's $750,000 a month just for the right to have them sit on the tarmac, before a single passenger boards. Hole number 2, fuel. An A320 burns about 750 gallons of jet fuel every single hour it's in the air. On a 5-hour flight from New York to LA, that's 3,750 gallons. At around $3 a gallon, you're burning $11,000 in fuel. For one flight, one direction, fuel alone eats up about 25% to 35% of every dollar your airline spends. Hole number 3. People. Pilots aren't cheap. A senior captain at a major airline today makes around $350,000 to $460,000 a year. Even your first-year first officers start around $100,000. Then add flight attendants, mechanics, ground crews, gate agents, dispatchers. In 2024, US Airlines spent $85 billion on labour alone. That's over 36% of total operating costs. Hole number 4, airports. You don't just land for free. Every time your plane touches down, the airport charges you a landing fee, around $2,500 at a big airport like JFK. Then you need a gate for passengers to board. Leasing a single airport gate costs up to $500,000 a year. And if you want to fly to somewhere really prestigious, like London Heathrow, a single pair of takeoff and landing slots there once sold for $75 million. That's not a typo. Hole number 5, maintenance. Your engines need constant care. Every 6 years, each plane goes through something called a D-check, a full structural teardown and rebuild that costs around $3 million per aircraft. You set aside money for this every single 40 flight hour, whether you want to or not. Add it all up. Planes, fuel, people, airports, maintenance, insurance, and and the cost to fly one seat 1 mile through the air comes to roughly 14 cents. The industry calls this your cost per seat mile. But here's the problem. At $199 for a 2,400-mile flight, you're only earning about 8 cents per seat mile. You're losing 6 cents on every single mile every single passenger flies. And the more passengers you carry, the more money you lose. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your A320 has 160 seats, but you don't start making profit from seat number 1. Think of it like this. The first 136 passengers who board your plane. They're just paying the bills. They cover fuel, crew, airport fees, maintenance, all those costs we just talked about. Those 136 people generate zero profit. Your actual profit only comes from passengers 137 through 160. Those last 24 seats. That's it. That's where all your money lives. So what happens if 20 people cancel? Or 15 passengers don't show up? A flight that looked fully booked suddenly loses you thousands. This is why airlines overbook. You've probably heard about this. Someone getting bumped from a flight, that's not an accident. Airlines intentionally sell more tickets than they have seats. They use historical data that tells them roughly 5% to 15% of passengers won't show up, and they sell extra tickets to fill those ghost seats. They also use sophisticated pricing systems that change ticket prices constantly. That $200 ticket you see on Monday, it might be $450 by Thursday. Not because anything changed, but because the system calculated that someone booking last minute is probably a business traveller who'll pay more. The same seat, the same flight, wildly different prices. All calculated to squeeze the maximum revenue out of every single row. Okay, so now you know the brutal truth. Selling plane tickets barely keeps the lights on. So how are airlines like Delta reporting record profits? Here's the secret, and once you hear it, you'll never look at airlines the same way again. The biggest airlines don't really make their money flying planes. They make it selling credit card points. Let me explain. Delta Airlines has a partnership with American Express. Amex sells you a Delta credit card. Every time you swipe that card at a grocery store, a gas station, anywhere, you earn SkyMiles. Where do those SkyMiles come from? Amex buys them from Delta. In bulk. Billions and billions of miles. In 2025, according to Delta's own financial filings with the SEC, American Express paid Delta $8.2 billion just for SkyMiles, not for flights, not for fuel, just for points. And Delta is targeting $10 billion from Amex alone in the coming years. Independent analysts have valued Delta's SkyMiles loyalty program at $31 billion, which means the loyalty program is worth more than all of Delta's physical airplanes combined. And here's the kicker. Roughly 1 in 4 frequent flyer miles are never even used. People earn them and forget about them. Those unused miles? Pure profit for the airline. During the 2020 pandemic, when nobody was flying, United Airlines didn't survive on ticket sales. They took their Mileage Plus loyalty program, put it up as collateral, and borrowed $6.8 billion from Wall Street banks. Their points program literally saved the company from going under. Airlines aren't transportation companies. They're financial companies that happen to own planes. So as the CEO of SkyVelocity Airways, knowing all of this, how do you actually build something that lasts? Number 1, never just sell a seat. Every time a passenger books a flight, that's a chance to sell them 5 more things. Checked bag, $35. Seat selection, $25. Extra legroom, $45. Priority boarding, $20. Wi-Fi, $10. Globally, these extra fees generated $148 billion in 2024. And some airlines like Frontier make over 60% of their total revenue just from these add-ons. The base ticket is almost a loss leader to get you in the door. Number 2, one type of plane and lock in your fuel. Never run a zoo of different aircraft. Pick one. All A320s or all 737s. When every pilot can fly every plane and every mechanic knows every engine, your training and parts costs drop dramatically. Then use financial contracts to lock in fuel prices when they're low. Southwest Airlines did this brilliantly. In 2008, when oil prices exploded, Southwest had already locked in cheap fuel and pocketed $1.3 billion in savings that year alone while competitors went bankrupt. Number 3, launch your credit card on day one. Partner with a bank, Chase, Amex, Barclays, and create your co-branded credit card immediately. Offer a fat sign-up bonus, like 50,000 miles for new cardholders. Every swipe, everywhere, earns the customer miles and earns you cash from the bank. Turn your airline from a risky transportation bet into a predictable cash machine. Running an airline is one of the hardest businesses on earth. Razor-thin margins, unpredictable fuel costs, massive regulations, and a product where your competition is always one price drop away. But now you know what most people don't. The real money isn't in the sky. It's in the wallet. If this changed how you think about business, hit subscribe. Every week we put you in the CEO chair of a different industry and show you how it really works. Next week, so you want to run a gym? Trust me, that one's even crazier. Drop your vote in the comments. I'll see you in the CEO chair.